Welcome. We are on the project Vedic Mathematics referencer. We are trying to reach at some steps towards this project, towards this exercise. Today, as step 9, our focus is that the project Vedic Mathematics referencer compilation is to avail the sequential chase as per organization of sutras. This project, this exercise is to adopt the principle of sequential chase of the organization of Ganita Sutras. So the chase becomes parallel to the way Ganita Sutras are organized. We know there are 16 sutras and 13 upsutras. We also know that the integrated format of the text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras is that the gaps between the consecutive sutras are bridged by the upsutras. So Sutra 1 and Sutra 2 are having some gap. This gap is bridged. It is bridged by Upsutra-1. Ganita Sutra-1 and Ganita Sutra-2 are having a gap, and this gap is bridged by Ganita Upsutra-1, and sequentially the gap between Ganita Sutra-2 and Ganita Sutra-3 is filled by the Ganita Sutra-2. The text of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras of integrated format means starting with Ganita Sutra-1, then Ganita Upsutra-1, Ganita Sutra-2, and like that, reaching up till Ganita Upsutra-13, and then Sutra 15 and Sutra 16. These 29 steps are there. First, second, third, it will be 28 and 29th step. So Ganita Sutra in this organization is going to be at 29th serial number. Therefore, the referencer is to be exhaustive, and this exhaustive feature will be available if we will organize the referencer of coverage of these all 29 steps. And for it, as we know that the transition from Ganita Sutra-1 to Ganita Sutra-2 will otherwise require a bridging, and bridging is to be provided by the upsutras. Therefore, we can have a organization for our referencer with volume 1 to cover both Ganita Sutra-1 and Ganita Upsutra-1. Volume 2 will cover Ganita Sutra-2 and Ganita Upsutra-2, and so on. This specified organization for 16 volumes. So volume 1 to volume 16 organization of the referencer, as we are pointing, is to have two steps here, Ganita Sutra-1 and Ganita Upsutra-1. But here, when we'll reach here, it will have only one step, and it will be of Ganita Sutra-16. Now, here we can see that when we are starting with Ganita Sutra-1, that would mean we will start with its first letter A, the sixth vowel, and at the end, at the 16th sutra, the last letter is going to be Sarjani of value 13. Now, Ganita Sutra-1 and Ganita Sutra-1 are the source sutra and source of sutras. As Ganita Sutra-1 is the source sutra and Ganita Sutra-1 is the source of sutra, therefore the values, the structural values, the organizational values, the structural keys and the mathematical domains, though at present stage in volume 1 look like as a coverage of this pair of steps, but in fact it is going to lay down the foundations for all the volumes. And further, this unfolding process of the domain of volume 1 is again then has to be of many phases, and how these phases are to be arranged for practical purposes of the textbooks of our schooling, which also is going to be of many phases. Therefore, this referencer shall unfold itself sequentially, phase-wise and section-wise. So volume 1 will be organized as sequential unfolding, and so we can call it a phase-wise folding, or we call it different sections. And in the technical terms, these are called vrittis. The prathama vritti, the ditya vritti and tritiya vritti. The first prathama vritti would mean the first unfolding, the principles which are to be surfacing at the outermost surface, which are to be comprehended and to be communicated and to be taught at the initial stage to a young mind. So our teaching is to be of the sequential order of the growth of the young mind. Mind in brain, in head of human body, in itself has a certain framing, and the perfection of intelligence in the young mind also is having certain sequential features. The physical age growth and the mental age growth, though will at the initial state start running parallel to each other, but it is not necessary that the intellectual growth is having of equal intensity growth as is going to be the physical health growth. That is why that the referencer is ultimately to depend upon that how its content, how the mathematical domain of the referencer is to be phased, say up till primary, up till middle, higher secondary school, graduation level, post-graduation level, and so on. So this volume in itself may become a bunch of volumes or a different sections of it. Now it all will depend upon how much time we have got with us, depend upon us how much in-depth glimpsing can be had by us, and the intensity in us to have an exhaustive coverage for the referencer. But anyway, once we are organizing the referencer into different volumes, so some of the values will automatically of volume 1 will flow in volume 2, and like that there may be a sequential flow, there will be sequential enrichment, there will be sequential coordination of the mathematical domains as a referencer, though of different volumes, in fact being a single book, a single stream, single flow. But we can well imagine at the outset that it is going to be a very, 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 very intensive exercise for us, very delicate exercise for us, and it is not to be expected that it will be completed in one attempt or in one exercise, as we are at present initiating sequentially with time this unfolding process of the referencer. This compilation process of the referencer will improve upon itself. In a way, we can say, as we start compiling our dictionary, and then with our own growth, with our own knowledge, our personal dictionary as well gets updated with time. And so internal growth of compilation of a dictionary, one's own dictionary, as an index of one's own knowledge will also be equally applicable to this exercise for this project, a compilation of Vedic Mathematics referencer, which on the face of it we are planning at this initial stage that it should be set up volumes, and volumes 1 shall concentrate upon Sutra 1 and Sutra 1, and volume 2 upon Sutra 2 and Sutra Upsutra 2. It is here where we shall have a pause and put to ourselves that the Ganita Sutra-1 is of 16 letters, it is of 8 syllables, it is of values, TC value 75, and like that there will be features. Sutra 2 is having 28 letters, is having 12 syllables, and is having 107 as TC value. So the internal features are many. How to have a complete transition, how to have a coordination, the continuity from volume 1 to volume 2, then one step is that we take into account the Upsutras. So Upsutra-1 we know is a text of 10 letters. It has 5 syllables. It is of 42 as TC value. And this one will be put here and in between as the gap bridging exercise. Then these features also will have to be playing their own role. Now, the way we are putting Eka Adhikain Purvain, and we put upon it its outermost value processing step as one more than before. And from here we reach at values say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. And here is a symmetry of Ganita Sutra-1. It will take us to 1 cross 1, to 1 cross 2, 1 cross 3, 1 cross 4, 1 cross 5 and so on. Here the linear format is available of progression on a line, and here we'll get a progression format of a surface. So here the zones, the surface areas will be sequentially taking us to 1 unit area, 2 unit areas up till this 3 unit areas, so and so. And step ahead we will be reaching at a solid format as symmetrically we can from here reach at 1 cross 1 cross 1, 1 cross 1 cross 2, 1 cross 1 cross 3, 1 cross 1 cross 4 and so on. So from line to surface to solid is going to be the internal unfolding process. So Ganita Sutra-1 together with the Ganita Sutra-1 will be enriching our exercise, will be enriching our mathematical processing steps, will be enriching our applied values reach for this. But when we are having a shift from Ganita Sutra-1 to Ganita Sutra-2, then we see here the letters are Nikhlim Navastacharma, means 7 letters are here, 14 letters are here, and 7 letters are here. See, initially at Ganita Sutra-1, our format was of this sequential progression. But while we reach at Ganita Sutra-2, then our format, internal format comes to be a reach to middle from both endpoints, and middle is getting a spatial organization. And we know the syllables here will be 6, 12 and 6, and we will be having values 28, 50 and 29. Now these are the features which will take us from the single digits organization of Ganita Sutra-1 as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And when we'll transform them into a double digit expressions, then it will take us to an organization of 9 cross 11 grid. And these numbers, 99 of double digit numbers, will get accommodated And this accommodation and this organization will put that the whole grid stands grouped into a pair of parts, say upper part and a lower part. An upper part as well is having a mirror line where the coordination is of values 11, 22, 33 and 44 self-reflecting double-digit numbers. And likewise the lower part as well is having a mirror line of 55, 66, 77, 88, 99. And 100 transcends out of it. The third digit number, first third digit number transcends out of it. But if we are having a symmetry also with us, and we are having the Shishyate Shesh Sangya as well with us, then we can have an organization. Now instead of 9 into 11 cross, we can have into 11 into 12 grid. This organization of 11 into 12 grid, when is having, will yield us like this, and here we will see that these internal mirror lines go straight here, 11, 22, 33, 44 and 55. Here in this organization, here there is a break. It makes upper parts and lower parts. However, in this organization, there is going to be a synthesis. There is going to be a continuity. Now it is this continuity of a line. And further, here the demarcation mirror, the separating mirror of upper part and lower part, values 10, 20, 30, so and so, is a diagonal. It is a southwest diagonal. But here in this organization, it becomes a northeast diagonal. And further we know that when we have a reach here, we see now this diagonal will separate for the next phase of continuity of it, and it is this organization which will take us. Firstly, 10 plus value system is at the creative boundary of 10 components of 5 space. A raised to power 5 is equal to 10, b raised to power 4. Or we know that hypercube 5 is having 11 geometries range, and further we know 5 space is playing a role of a transcendental boundary of 6 space. And here we know it is ratio is a raised to power 5 is to 12, 6, 12, b raised to power 6. And we know that 5 spaces and 11 geometries, and there are 12 components, and it is taking us to this value. C00 to 131 is the organization which shifts from the creative boundary of a 5 space to the transcendental boundary of a 6 space. Like that, we can have sequential unfolding steps ahead as well. Therefore, the volume 2 will, while on the one hand, provide us a proper transition from the Ganita Sutra-1 and Upsutra-1 to Ganita Sutra and Upsutra-2, and simultaneously it will have a boundary line, a separation line for the mathematical domains of Sutra 1 and Sutra 2 stages. So volume 1 and volume 2 will have distinct mathematical domains coverage, and it is here where we can, on the face of it, see, visualize, comprehend, imbibe that it is going to have a sequential unfolding process, and the features of the sequential unfolding process are multiplying, and this multiplication is to be appreciated in the form of a vritti to chakra to ank to shankh. So these are the sequential reach. We know Ganita Sutra-1 begins with the first letter A, value 6, and the second formulation of this sutra is letter Pa of value 5. So when we will be reaching from Panchvriti to Shad Chakras format, from Panch Mahabhut to the Shad Chakras, the self-referral domain, As such, the Vedic Mathematics sutras as these are of the order of the universal unfolding process. These carry and preserve the mathematics, the mathematical values, the sciences and technologies of our entire universe. Universe as a unified phenomenon, and it is to transcend from our Panchamahabhut. So yoga as Chit consciousness to be taken out of Panchavritya, five folds. We have to transcend from the manifested limitations of Panchamahabhut, five basic elements. And we have to transcend from Panchamahabhut and have to enter the sixth space, the Surya, the Sun, the Purusha. And it is here where we will be having a reach only in terms of a transcendence phenomenon within the Shad Chakras of our body. Therefore, these referencer volumes have to have large number of sections, and each section is to have full range of phases, and there should be continuity, there should be coordination, there should be smooth transition, and at one point of time we will realize and we will be face to face with as if the entire from first letter to the last letter are playing their role. Therefore, when we will organize the text starting from first letter to the last letter, and when we will have a reverse from last letter to the first letter, and when we will have this value of 6 and 13 parallel to the sixth space having 13 geometries range, and summation value is going to be 19, and this is equal to a value of Krishna. It is going to be the value of the southern hemisphere. So from Sun, from its northern hemisphere, we have to reach its southern hemisphere, and from southern hemisphere we have to reach back its northern hemisphere, and like that these sutras will sequentially unfold themselves. As the sutras are going to sequentially unfold themselves, so the referencer as well is to be of the format of sequential unfolding. Because we can say, when we say letter A, and we say that letter A is having a TC value 6, then say if it is a formulation, value 1, it is a word, value 1, its syllable is 1, and its TCV value is going to be 6. Now when we say its frequency, ekara, it is going to be 26. And we will say its transcendence value. So 6 space will take to 4 space to 2 space, lead us to value 48. When we will say its formulation is shut, it will give us value 10. And when we will say it as a 6 space hypercube 6, then it will give us value 22. When we will say it is going to provide us a transcendence value, it will provide us 40. When we will say it is providing us the synthesis values, then it is going to provide us 86. And like that, when we will have summation of all, we will see that we are in fact reaching at the sutras and upsutras completely within from the first letter. And that is why we call Ganita Sutra-1 is a source sutra. That is why we say the first letter of Ganita Sutra-1 is not only the structural key of Ganita Sutra-1, but in fact is a key of keys of the entire structural keys of the entire mathematical domain of all the Ganita Sutras themselves. Therefore, while being at the exercise of the project compilation of Vedic Mathematics referencer, then we must keep in our mind that we are transcending from Panchamahabhut and we are reaching the sixth domain, which is called a self-referral domain. Now it is this self-referral domain will take us from this 3 to 6, and we see the script form. And we know 6 is equal to 3 plus 3. And we know three-dimensional frame splits into a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions. And we make a self-referral system. So it is going to be a mathematical machine constructing all other mathematical machines. This self-referral mathematical domain of Ganita Sutras is the source mathematical machine which structures out, constructs, and rolls out all other types of mathematical domains. Thank you very much.